Well, everyone, the Racka Racka boys are back, and they're back in a big way. I mean, the directors of the 2022 hit Talk to Me, Michael and Danny Filippo, are here to show that they're no flash in the pan, all right? I mean, if Talk to Me was them just getting their feet wet, this time they dove right in. And I mean, the question's got to be asked. I mean, did it live up to the expectations? Did it exceed the expectations? And most importantly, can we bring her back? Welcome to Kino Kino. My name is Kino, and today we're talking about Bring Her Back, which is the latest film from Michael and Danny Filippo, and the latest thing that's got my heart pumping. I mean, it is so great to have them back doing what they do best. I mean, awesome, awesome stuff. I can't rave enough about this film, and I'm excited to tell you all about it. Now, this is my spoiler-free review. We're just going to talk about all of the good, all of the bad, and I'm going to give you my take. So I hope you're ready to buckle in because there's a lot to say about this unbelievable new film. Now let's start with a simple spoiler-free breakdown. Alright, now this film follows two siblings who recently lose their father and end up having to get entered into foster care, and well, they end up with a mother who, has some ulterior motives, because these kids are not only part of her ulterior motives, but they also stand in the way of her ulterior motives, which then puts us in one awkward position, and during which we see a lot of crazy stuff, a lot of great imagery, a lot of tough imagery, and I am so for it. I mean, the Rocka Rocka Boys doing what the Rocka Rocka Boys do. I mean, you love to see it. And with that being said, let's go ahead and let's get to the good. Man, the good. I can go on and on about this film with all the great things that it has included. Now, first off, I'd like to say that it's really incredible to see them branch out a little bit further. All right, they started out with this kind of upbeat bump, 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 with Talk to Me, and they decided to make something a little more slow with the Bring Her Back. You see, this one I would say is a lot more comparative. I think you'll hear it compared a lot to Hereditary, where in Talk to Me, I'd say that the entire experience is very energetic, right? You can feel your heart pounding, and there's a lot of really heart pounding stuff in this film, but they're two completely different ways that your heart is pounding, all right? This film has got a stank to it, all right? It's got this kind of sheen of just despair that kind of follows the entire film, and it is honestly amazing to see them be able to pull this off as well as what they pulled off previously. It's showing that they've got a good understanding of what they're doing. They've got a good understanding of what they want to create, and they're creating it incredibly well, because it's not just a new branch, it's an incredibly well done new branch. So the good number one is that it is an entirely new experience compared to Talk to Me. I mean, ultimately, in my opinion, they're right neck and neck. This is a personal preference thing, all right? It just comes down to, do you like the energy of Talk to Me more, or do you like the energy of Bring Her Back more? The story wise and character wise, I mean, everything is all up to par. It is up to you to determine how you feel when you're comparing these two films. All right, but it's not just the incredible atmosphere they nail, all right? They also nail an incredible cast. I mean, let's just be honest. Sally Hawkins, unfreaking believable. I mean, it is crazy to see what she does in this film, especially because, I mean, she's Paddington's mom, man. She's Paddington's mom, and seeing her this way is a a heart-wrenching, gut-punching feeling, and I'm glad it exists because she goes nuts, all right? She goes full out, no stops, doesn't even compare. It really doesn't to anything you've ever seen, because she really is nailing it. In every single scene, she is punching and pulling exactly where the punches need to be pulled and need to be hitting incredibly hard. And I mean, when you hear the directors talk about her and the things that she was doing, I mean, she's saying no pads, all right? Is Laura wearing pads? Well, if Laura's not wearing pads, I'm not wearing pads. I mean, it's unbelievable. It really, really is. She is a true, true, true actress. But it doesn't stop with Sally Hawkins, because we need to talk about Billy Barrett, who's playing Andy in the film, the older sibling. And let me tell you, all right, I think that that is a very tough role to play for someone so young. It really, really is, because ultimately you have to play a character that is very much so, towing that line of being sympathetic and lovable while also being, a dick, because all teenage boys are dicks, right? And so seeing him pull it off like this, it was just perfect, because when you see him together with the actress Sora, who plays Piper, I mean, the two have just an incredible connection and chemistry that just works so, so unbelievably well. himself, and we see him on his own. I mean, he just really does feel like you're peeking into the life of just this teenage boy. And then when he's going through all these crazy things he's going through, I mean, it is just it's an experience. It's an experience to watch him go through these things and handle it the way that he does. He pulls it off unbelievably. Now let's move on to Piper. All right, Sora Wong, who plays Piper, does an incredible job. I mean, this is apparently her first ever like professional acting role, which is nuts. All right, that's a crazy, crazy step to take, and she does it unbelievably well. I mean, she gets to play a really interesting kind of character because ultimately she's a character that the audience is automatically sympathetic for because of course she's a disabled character, but at the same time she's showing that she's a very strong individual inside, right? She is someone who really does desire that kind of independence and desire to look towards the future as doing what she wants to do, living her life without having to always be have her brother always on her, but she still also loves her brother and appreciates what he does for her. I mean, ultimately there's so many facets that come from that character, and Sora nails them unbelievably, just incredibly well, and I am so impressed. Now, everyone so far has been incredible. I mean, all of them pulling out amazing performances, but when I think of Jonah Ren Phillips, who plays Oliver in the film, I think that has to be the standout performance because what Jonah Ren Phillips endures in this film is nuts. All right. Not only is this kid delivering an unbelievable performance that I don't think I've seen a child actor give since like the 80s, okay? This kid is also undergoing so many interesting different elements in this film as the film progresses. I don't want to give any spoilers, but it's just when I see where this kid is at and watching him go through this entire experience, I'm mind blown. I'm mind blown at everything he's enduring and all the incredible performances he's giving with hardly any dialogue at all. So hats off to the entire cast. Much love to all of them. They were perfect, absolutely perfect cast. No notes, no changes. They're great, 100%. And I'm excited to see what they all do in the future. Now let's move on to the story. All right, I already talked about how the atmosphere is very different from Talk to Me, but the story is actually relatively similar. Both of them have to deal with grief. I mean, the directors have said that they wrote both scripts around the same time, kind of working on one after the other, bouncing from each other. And you can kind of, I mean, you can definitely feel that in this film. It's just exploring kind of this feeling of grief and the emotional turmoil one goes through when they lose a loved one, and what happens if that grief just continues to get a hold on you. The story is just so good. I mean, the characters are great to follow. The experience is just a very cringy, awful experience in the best way, which ends up making the film very much so. I compared it to Hereditary earlier, but it's not just like Hereditary, it's also very reminiscent of Get Out. It is just nuts to watch the experiences that unfold in this film, and I like a lot of the things that they do with the story in terms of there's got some supernatural elements, but they've also got a lot of real world trauma, which ends up making, of course, for a very compelling story and an incredibly compelling experience as a film watcher. Another incredible thing that these brothers are just absolutely nailing is that they're filming incredible contemporary movies, contemporary horror movies, and they're doing it in a very modern, classic way. And I'm not saying that the way that a lot of people might use it, where it's like, oh, this is just the next amazing thing that everyone will look back to for 1,000 years. I mean, I'm using it in the way to say that this is just a really, really great horror film that has the kind of feel of some old school horror, right? Some very singular story horror, but not trying to do any kind of nostalgia bait. I mean, Talk to Me and Bring Her Back are doing something incredible because they're taking these old school singular kind of stories that aren't crazy or over the top, and they're putting them in the modern framework, which doesn't happen at all, really. And so seeing them do that, especially being able to nail like the young characters of teenagers and young adults and Talk to Me, I mean, it's incredible. It really, really is. They're the only ones doing it like this. They just simply are. And they're doing an unbelievable job. And I think that's one of their biggest strong suits is that these movies, they hit and resonate with younger audiences, well, because of the contemporary aspect and the way that these younger characters are written, while also striking a chord with older audiences who just love missing these kind of singular horror stories. And they're not trying to do anything that they're not. They're not trying to be anything they're not. They are contemporary horror, and they are here to show you that in beautiful, beautiful fashion. And now, of course, the creme de la creme. What the Racka Racka boys do best, all right? The hard punches, okay? These are the big impact brothers, okay? When you watch their films, and I'm gonna say this, I'm gonna sign on to it right now, as you watch their future films, you'll know it's their films simply by the crazy shit you see. I mean, ultimately, they are coming up with some incredible, incredible things. I mean, that's always the tough part about making a horror film, right? Is that not only to come up with some really good shticks, right? Some really good kind of gimmicks, like what Talk to Me has the hand. This one has some stuff you'll see as you watch. And you don't also have to do that, but you also have to include some hard to sit through things. And I mean, it's been done so many times. It's hard to come up with new things. And I can honestly say that what they did in this film, oh my goodness, there's so many of those moments that are just, ugh, as you watch it, it just rips you right out. And I gotta hand it, of course, to the melon scene. Let's call it that. All right. I mean, they do something with a knife that makes so much sense, and yet I've never ever thought about, and I really hope I never think about again. And that's exactly what you want from these directors. I mean, pull no punches, go all the way out, go nuts, and I love it. I love them for it. Absolutely incredible stuff. And well, I now that I've gone through all of the glazing, all right, talking about all of the amazing stuff that I loved about the film, we'll go ahead and let's get to the bad. I'm gonna be honest, all right? I'm kind of biased. I'm a big fan. There's not much bad here. I don't know what to say. It just is a really, really great film, okay? But I'll say that there are some things that I took note of throughout the film. And the first one I'm gonna say is that for me, the score. All right, the music. I think that when you make a great horror film, you need a great horror score to go with it. And I think ultimately the directors talked about how they had worked with a composer prior to even shooting the film, which I think probably led to it being just a generic horror score. Now, don't get me wrong, the composer does a great job, but it's nothing different. It's nothing new. It's something that I've heard a million times over in a million different movies, right? I don't know how many times I've heard this freaking clicking sound. I've heard it so many times. Every movie does it. For the love of God, do something new. All right, take a hammer, like bang it against a couple of soda cans or something. I want to hear something interesting. Okay, I want to hear something new. That's it. And I want to hear something that is the Bring Her Back score. All right. This is a great horror score, but it didn't really feel like a score that was designed specifically to make this movie really get your heart pumping. And I think that if they had an incredible score to work with in this film, it would have just elevated the film to a league above. I really, really do think that you get some great music that everybody will hear that music and they're like, oh, that's the Bring Her Back song. You're doing leagues. You're doing crazy, crazy stuff there. And I want to clarify, the composer does amazing. All right, they do an incredible job making a great horror score. I just think that they needed to focus on ensuring that they're making something that is for Bring Her Back, making something that is just unforgettable. When audiences leave the theater, they've got that tune in the back of their head, and whenever they hear that song, they're like, "Oh, that's the Bring Their Back song." I think that incredible horror movies all have that effect, and I think that I would love to see them in the future really try and hammer home and make sure that what they're doing for their music is just as unique as what they're doing for their stories. Which brings me as well to the fact that these are unique stories and they're great to see, but at the same time, they're not swinging for the fences. All right, let's be real. These movies are just really good singular experiences. They're not trying to make some big grand thing, and that's okay. I'm just saying that ultimately, I would love to see them ramp up. I'd love to see them really kind of dig deep to make something that's fucking nuts, something that's just like everyone gets blown away by them. I mean, they're 2 movies deep, they're working, they're getting better and better, and I'm excited to see what they do next. I would say that both of these are just really, really good singular horror stories, and I love them. I love them so much, but I also want to see them get bigger. Don't get complacent, don't just continue to make kind of these singular stories. I want to see them go nuts. I really, really do. But at the same time, I mean, it's their life. Who am I to tell them what to do? If they really just love these singular, like just really good, decent films, go for it. I just feel in my heart of hearts that they're capable of doing some great, great, great stuff. And I'd love to see them really go for the fences, get wild, get nuts, do something that we haven't seen before, do something that has just never been done. Because I really do think that these are the two that can do that. And lastly, for the bad, the only thing that I'll say that kind of made me feel a little iffy is the way the conflict resolves. Is that I think that it's a tough tightrope to walk because essentially you need to crank up that pressure, right? You need to get it up there to the point where when it releases or when it explodes, the audience is either super satisfied or super unsatisfied, depending on what you want it to be, but it feels great either way. And I think that they did a great job of doing that with the situation in the sense that everyone is happy or they're sad or they're devastated when everything, releases or explodes. But what I will say is that the way that it happens didn't have enough pressure for me. For me, I felt as though it just kind of happened mostly out of nowhere. I don't think think that it didn't make any sense. I just think I would have liked to have little breadcrumbs spread out that would get me to that point where I'm like, this is a possibility. I'm like, is this going to happen? Is this decision going to get made? How is it going to happen? Can I really believe that this is a possibility? And for me personally, I didn't necessarily feel like the film got me there for when the conclusion arrived. Now, no spoilers, like I said, but I would say that that is my own personal feeling. I'd be interested to see what other people say as well. But for me, that was probably one of the only things that I didn't feel entirely sold on. But everything else, I mean, I was just with it all the way through. So, like I said, big fan, super biased. You can hear me even in the bad section. I'm still clarifying that this is a great film that I loved. These are just a few of the things that I noticed as I'm watching them. I'm like, okay, these are some things that didn't quite strike a chord with me, but maybe they do for others. But either way, we got the good, we got the bad. So let's get to. All right, so my take on Bring Her Back. Ultimately, we've seen them walk to the side. All right, Talk to Me was an incredible film. Bring Her Back is an incredible film. But again, for me, they're right here. Okay, for me, I really can't give one more than the other, in my opinion. I mean, it's been a while since I made that video, so I don't remember if I gave it a score or anything. But what I do know is that for me, when I look at both of them, it just depends on my mood. There's no universe where I'm like, oh, this is the better film or this is the greater one because of this. For me, it's just like if I'm feeling in a more upbeat party kind of mood, let's do some Talk to Me, all right? Da 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 with the French song, right? And if I'm feeling in more of a like, let's get laid back, let's get somber, that's when I'm gonna pop on Bring Her Back. And so again, great stories. They're only doing great stuff, and that is awesome to see. But I want to see them step forward. I want to see them climb higher. I want to see them do more in the future. I want to see them really go nuts with the incredible skills that they have, not with just writing, not with just the performances that they're getting out of their actors, but also, of course, with their big impacts. I am excited to see them do some nuts stuff because these two are kind of out of their mind, which makes for great filmmakers. But ultimately, with all that being said, I had an incredible experience with the film, and I am so excited to see what they're going to do next. And that leaves me with a score where I want to give it a solid, I'd say 808. All right, 808 out of 1,000, because ultimately this is a really great film. It's nothing that is super stellar, super standout that everyone's going to be like, oh my gosh, this was a life-changing film. This is just a film that everyone's going to love. Everyone's going to be like, oh, this is a good horror movie to put on. Or you haven't seen this movie, you got to check this out. And then you put it on, right? So they did exactly what they set out to do, and I am a big fan. I'm a big fan of this movie, I'm a big fan of their other movie, and I'm a big fan of them. And I'm excited to see what they do going forward. And that pretty much wraps it up. So I hope that you had a good time hanging out with me today talking about this great film. Please let me know what you think about it in the comments. Am I off on some things, or do you feel the same way? Or tell me your own thoughts. I'd love to hear more about it, because ultimately, I also hope to plan to make a new video about this movie, getting into more of the actual, like the nitty-gritty, the details of it. So very spoiler heavy, very much so talking about all the things we might have missed and kind of discussing about all the cool things that are implemented in the film, because I think that is a really awesome element of this film as well, is that there's a lot of discussion to be had, which I'm excited about. So if you want to see that video, and if you want to see other videos like it, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. And well, this has been Kino. My name is Kino, and I can't wait to see you next time.